Week 11's in the books. We've got some upsets and some coaching changes. Let's break it down.
College football is back, and we're back on the Big Mountain, where we bring you a detailed focus on the Big Ten and the Mountain West.
It's good to have you back here. We're done with Week 11. We want to do our rapid reaction video. I am JY. This is my good friend Steve. If you're new to the channel here, we're going to go down over some of our picks here from this past weekend, and as well as some coaching changes that I think we want to briefly bring up here and talk about. So, Steve, I'll start with you here. Big Ten, why don't you go over whatever you want to talk about here?
Awesome. Okay, so I had kind of a middle of the pack week, right at 4-4. I did lose my lock. I was close to not locking. You and I talked about this before. I was close to not locking any games. Went ahead and locked Nebraska. That didn't turn out well for me. However, Ohio State was a winner in the Big Ten. Yep. Indiana was a winner, and we got two winners out of the Iowa game. Mm-hmm. I gave them under 28.5, which was a winner. I think it was 22-0, and then also Iowa to cover 1.5. So it was great getting some winners. Nobody likes to focus on the losers too much, but I will say, especially for me as a Penn State fan, Penn State not covering against Michigan. I was at the game. Fantastic game. Penn State defense was absolutely amazing. Michigan still a good, solid team, even with Harbaugh being suspended, 24 hours before the game, less than 24 hours. Yeah. Obviously, Michigan's still a real good team. Real good game. Penn State's defense was awesome. Their offense just kind of let them down, which leads us into another topic. Penn State made is making a change at offensive coordinator, fired Mike Yurcich, and I think we have another episode coming up to talk about the likely candidates for the new offensive coordinator at Penn State.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty much what I got. 4-4, 0-1. How'd you do this week, JY?
I got two comments for your picks.
Okay.
First comment, I want to know if anybody took the same game parlay on the Iowa game, because we mentioned that. You picked two different, you picked the spread and you picked the under, and I mentioned the same game parlay, which I did actually do. I did do one, and obviously it hit. Yeah. So that was awesome. Well done on both of those picks. And the second one, Steve, I am not going to let you get away without talking about the Northwestern game, because when you made that pick, it was the first time in 10 weeks that I have disagreed verbally with a pick, and I mentioned that Northwestern, I think they were getting 10.5 points. They actually won the game straight up, and the reason I said that was because of Wisconsin's offense being so anemic, and here they are again being crazy anemic. They just can't score points.
Yeah, obviously you were right. You won the head-to-head. You won the head-to-head battle there.
All right.
So kudos.
I needed it this week because I didn't have a good week.
And really, honestly, it really opens more because we're getting beyond. For a good part of the season, Wisconsin was winning. Yeah. And they stayed on track to be the favorite to win the Big Ten West. But they were winning, but just not by as much as they should be. This week, 10.5 point favorites against a Northwestern team who's they just don't have a lot of talent on the roster. Right. They're a team in turmoil, and not only did they not cover 10.5, they just got their butts kicked. Yeah. Straight up. No excuse for it. So it really makes you wonder about Wisconsin.
Yeah, for sure.
So. And I did want to say, yes. So I'm not a parlay guy, so I appreciate you bringing that up to our fans and our viewers, and I hope that they took that as well. So we want to hear from you in the comments if you did do that same game parlay. I did. I took the under. I took Iowa separate bets, and I did the parlay because you brought it up. I said, "Yep, let's do it." Yeah. And honestly, I made good money this week, even going 4-4 because of that same game parlay. So thanks for bringing that.
Well, when you can hit those, it's a good feeling. It makes you want more, and then it slaps you back in the face. Yes. But anyway, all right, let's get to me. Not as good. I mean, I was coming off last week being 7-2, riding high, feeling really good, and honestly, I felt really good about my picks this week. I went 3-5, which not horrible. I mean, obviously, want to be at least 500, but 3-5. But was 0-3 in locks. I mean, I want to crawl under the table right now, being 0-3 on locks. That's just completely inexcusable. But let's talk about a few of these. So I opened up really well. Friday night, I picked UNLV to cover the 5.5 versus Wyoming. And again, I mentioned Wyoming not traveling well, and I should probably, thinking back after I made that comment, they did travel well to Texas. They ended up losing, but they played a really strong game in Texas. And their second one in Air Force was a really strong game that they played. The last two, Boise and this one here in UNLV, at least to start, just didn't show up. I mean, they're down 21-0 after the first quarter. Yeah. Maeva. Now, we've been saying Maeva. That's how I heard it early on. These guys were saying Maeva.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's Maeva or Maeva, but regardless, the freshman QB for UNLV is legit. We've been on him since the very beginning of the season.
Week 1, week 2.
When he first came in, when Brumfeld was injured in that game, I can't remember the game that it was, but we were watching the game. We were incredibly impressed by this kid coming off the bench, and he just hasn't given up the reins. No need to. He is a stud. And he had 1 passing touchdown, 2 running touchdowns. So, props to UNLV. They are sitting really good. Now, they have 2 of the most difficult games left in the season, I think, for them. But they are in the driver's seat right now. So I hit with that one. Hit with Utah State over Nevada. Another win for me. And then my third win was Boise over New Mexico. They covered that fairly big spread. I was a little hesitant on that one, but I did take Boise, and they covered it there at home on that blue turf. But 2 big things coming out of that. Well, 3 things I want to mention in that game. Number 1, Genty did not play, so now he's missed 2 straight games. I don't know the severity of his injury, but that is a massive loss for this team. McAllister, earlier in the week, and I believe it was out before I made my pick, and I just missed it. But their number 1 stud receiver stepped away and left the team, and he's going to the transfer portal. I mean, props to him. He is a very, very strong talent, but that's a little rough. Leave it in the middle of the season, but then the news comes out today that, or I guess on Sunday, that they fire the head coach. So you kind of go, okay, did McAllister leave because he knew what was coming? Who knows how all of that played out? But that's now a team in crazy turmoil, and I get it. Boise thinks they should be the number 1 contender every time, not just getting to the championship game, but winning the championship game. And they haven't been there. They haven't been doing it. It's still a little odd to me to see this happen right now because they are in contention to make the championship game. Now, they're not the favorite right now. There's obviously a few teams ahead of them. But if they win out, I mean, they could easily make this championship game. So the timing of that just seems a little odd to me. I don't know the details behind it. But anyway, wanted to make sure we bring that up. Then go into our losers. So CSU did not cover versus San Diego State. They were up 15-0 at the half. They look like they're going to cover. Then San Diego State gets 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. They got their last one with about 2 minutes left, ran it in, and so they break that spread there. And CSU does not cover that, but it was close. But didn't get that as a winner. And then the Fresno State, San Jose State. Oh my gracious! And I got to go back and just say, I was high on this San Jose State team's off in the beginning, and I was high on them early. Then they didn't quite perform quite as well. It's not that they were horrible. Yeah. They just weren't quite as good as I thought. I've kind of given up on them a little bit. Yep. But when you go look back the last 3 since they've gotten to Mountain West play, they're killing people on offense. I mean, they killed Fresno State on offense.
Absolutely.
It was impressive. And Mikey Keene out. Injured, took a huge hit along the sideline there, didn't come back. I'm sure it was head-related. He kind of went down. I know it was head-related. Went down into the turf there. Yeah. Looked like he may have been possibly knocked out. So I wasn't at all surprised that he didn't come back. Hopefully he'll be able to play here next week. But Robinson, the running back there at San Jose State, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Super impressive offense from San Jose State. And they now, a team that we have not talked about being potentially in the Mountain West championship discussion, they're here now. I mean, they have propelled themselves to, we thought what was it, 2 weeks ago, we're going from 5 down to 2 or 3.
And now we're
back to 5. We're back to 5 again. Yep. Some different teams, but we're back to potentially 5 teams again.
And boy, what a disappointment for Fresno. They had the chance to, I mean, if they win this game, they don't play Air Force this year.
Right.
They win this game, and they're pretty much locked into one of those 2 spots in the championship game. And just to lay an egg like this, and Keene went out, but I always forget his name. The backup, Fife, he had played good earlier in the season when he had to in some spot duty. I got home from the Penn State game, and this is one of the games I was looking forward to. I stayed up late to watch this,
right.
And I'm thinking, what? Am I asleep? Am I dreaming? Like, what is going on in this game?
I hear you.
So kudos to San Jose State.
Yep.
And I just don't know what the heck Fresno. What's going on with Fresno right now?
Yeah. And then the last three are going to be my three locks. The first one here, the biggest disappointment of it, Air Force going to Hawaii and losing 20. I mean, forget the spread.
Right.
And the spread was 18.5. Losing to Hawaii 27-13. First of all, how do they let Hawaii score 27 points? Is beyond me. And how do they only score 13 points? Now, I will say, we were talking just before the episode, Larry barely played in this game. We didn't get it here. It wasn't on TV, at least in our area. I don't even really think it was covered.
Yeah.
And I can't find much on what his status is, what happened with him, Zach Larry, the starting quarterback. That's clearly not the only reason they didn't cover this or win the game, but it is a big reason. I mean, he has been the quarterback they have needed to run that offense in all facets of the game. Yeah. That doesn't obviously speak to the defense allowing 27 points. But if anybody has anything on Larry, I'd love for you to throw a comment out. I want to know what's going on with him, because this is now 2 weeks in a row Air Force has just crapped the bed against two bad teams. Yeah. I mentioned in the pick video, you've got one of the top two teams against one of the bottom two teams. Yeah. This is inexcusable from this team. They're now on a 2-game slide, one of them being Mountain West, one of them out of conference.
Yeah.
But they got two really tough games coming up to the end of the season, and they could slide all the way out of a championship game here. I mean, that's how bad this could be for the Falcons.
3 weeks ago, we were talking about Air Force getting into a New Year's Six bowl,
yes,
being up in the rankings, and they lose to two of the bottom 10% of Division I FBS teams. I don't have any explanation.
I'm dumbfounded by the whole thing. My two other picks that I did do locks on, Memphis and Charlotte, went to overtime. I had Memphis at 9.5. They won by 6. 4 turnovers each way, so it became a bit of a turnover fest. Really surprised that Charlotte scored 38 points here. I had mentioned I didn't think Charlotte's offense could keep up with Memphis's offense. Memphis scores 44. Okay, it's kind of what I expected. Definitely wasn't expecting Charlotte to score 38. So that's on me there. Didn't hit that by about 3.5 points. And then Rice versus UTSA. I did not know, and this is on me, that the starting quarterback for Rice, Daniels, was not going to be playing in this game. They only score 14 points. That's on me. If I'm making a lock, I better be damn sure what's going on with that. I didn't realize Daniels wasn't going to be playing, and Rice just didn't score the points in order for us to get that over there.
For those that aren't aware, JT Daniels, one-time Georgia quarterback. He was, I think, a 5-star quarterback. Georgia went to West Virginia and has really played well at Rice and been a key to them, their offense playing well. And
very, very good offense.
So that was a huge missing piece.
Huge missing piece. Again, I own that. I'll eat that crow. Totally on me if I'm going to make that lock. So with that, let's go over our weekly summary. Not so great, at least not so great for me this week. And of course, we'll do our cumulative summary, show you where we're at here for the season. All right, and that is where we sit as we come down the stretch for the college football season. As Steve mentioned earlier, we are going to be doing a standalone episode just on Penn State and where they may be looking for their offensive coordinator here in the near future. We also are going to be doing another summary for the Oregon State, Washington State Pac-12 litigation issues, as we are 2 days away now from the hearing that is supposed to start on November 14th. So we want to do a brief kind of update, kind of where we've been and where we might be headed here. So stay tuned for those. And of course, our weekly picks coming out Thursday morning. I know I will be looking to do much, much better. And I know Steve's he'll be doing his locks as normal. He's been doing really, really well on the locks this year. So with that, hey, leave us some comments, give us a like, subscribe if you like the channel. With that, we're going to see you next time on the Big Mountain.